Hello, welcome back to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. We are here in Italy for the second race of the European Touring Car Cup. Cars already on the grid and getting ready for action after what was a highly entertaining first encounter. And going back to our roots, old school top 8 reversed from race 1 to form the race 2 grid. And that leaves the black and red car, Mladen Lalozic on pole position. The white car with the blue highlights there, and the gold, red and black on the roof. That's Andreas Pfister in second place on the grid. Zoltan Szabo and Norbert Nagy are on row 2 for Zengo Motorsport, having started on row 3. So the race winner after penalties, incidents and everything else in the first race was Peter Fulin. First across the line was Christian Schreiber ahead of Peter Rickley, but they both picked up a 5-second penalty for not being in their grid box in the correct place on the grid, and as a result dropped behind Peter Fulin. Fulin, the race 1 winner there, and he starts in 8th position for race 2. So the first race finished just about half an hour ago. They've refueled the cars, no damage to talk of. And then the fresh tyres, and the drivers had a bit of a rub down with a damp copy of the Times and a quick drink, and are ready to go again. Martin Haven here with Matt Neal alongside me. And Matt, entertaining racing. Most of the cars on the grid are the Seat Leon TCR. There's an Audi TCR and 2 Hondas which are sort of grandfathered into these regulations. So all very close in terms of performance, and on a long slipstreaming circuit like that, that pretty much guarantees you're going to have an entertaining race.
That's right, Martin. And they all seem very evenly matched, you know, in straight line in the first one. So it should promote some good slipstreaming, some good racing, especially now with the reverse 8 and the fast Hondas coming through from the back.
Well, there you can see the grid. Mladen Lalozic ahead of Andreas Pfister. Our top 3 from race 1 are 6th, 7th and 8th. So Peter Rickley, Christian Schreiber in their Hondas, and Peter Fulin. And then Fabian Motta, who finished with a penalty, dropped down. He dropped down to 9th place, so out of the reverse. Otherwise, he'd be on the front row of the grid. And after a drive-through penalty, Plamen Kralev will be the man who starts last on the grid in his Audi. And there was no unnecessary wheel spinning from him. So he should be able to start the race with no dramas. It was a stunning day here in Monza. A little hazy perhaps later on this afternoon, but it was clear and blue when they woke us up with the national anthem this morning at 7:30. And a beautiful racing day. Nice clean, crisp air this morning. Circuit nicely rubbered in after a few days of rain earlier in the week. And Matt, can't be many better places to come. You know, some of these guys coming here for the very first time, it's quite an awe-inspiring place.
Yeah, we're about to start the green flag lap now, and see if these guys can get it right this time. It was a bit of an abortion, the first one, with both the Hondas out of the grid boxes and the Audi doing his practice starts, the Zengo Motorsport Seats both stalling on the grid. So it was almost half the field getting it wrong somehow in some form on for the start, which sort of messed it up a wee bit. But you know, with the reverse grid, it should liven things up immensely in this one.
Small grid, as you say, only 10 cars. There were 11 entries, but one of the Zengo cars had an issue with compliance of its fuel tank, and that was for Annette Georgi. So she unfortunately doesn't get a chance to race this weekend. But because it's a very open category, the TCR category, there are a lot of cars out and about on the market. I can see that as the championship progresses, people might be watching this with a weather eye to see, okay, how might we fare in this? I think we'll probably see quite a few more cars coming in. There's an awful lot of this machinery. It sort of replaced Super 2000, which is where European touring cars and World Touring cars started, as a car that is available widely from manufacturers or from homologators, rather than actually having to go to, say, Citroën and try and beg, borrow and steal a CLEZ. These are built for commercial sale, and as a result, there are lots of them around. There's over 300 Seat Leons already being built by Seat Sport, 90 Audis in build or already have started delivery, and a whole host of other cars out there as well. You know, you talked about the Yas Hondas, and so it's a growing pyramid of cars, which means that you can A, afford to buy one, B, afford to race one, and C, it's still got market value if you then want to graduate either to a newer car, a different machine, or whatever. So it's quite nicely self-sustaining.
That's right, Martin. I mean, they're affordable.
Yeah.
You know, it's for a lot of the races, and there's been a gap in the market where we used to have Group N, Production Saloon. In recent years, we've had one-make championships and a few national championships. Then you make the big leap to what is now TC1. So this fills that hole perfectly. Yeah. In car performance, because these are about 6 seconds a lap slower than a TC1 WTC car around here. So, but also in affordability and the budgets you've got to raise, because to do World Touring cars, it's strong budgets now. The drivers and the teams have got to find, the manufacturers have got to put together and commit to the championship.
Confirmation then of our grid lineup. Plamen Kralev looked pretty quick in the brand new Audi RS. It's the first year that the Audi has been raced in TCR. The car's also built by Seat Sport, developed in association with Audi. And it's a handsome looking car. The Seat Leon we know well. And of course, Seat Leon's been racing in the undercard for World Touring Car Championship for many years. The lime green and grey cars, Zengo Motorsport, they made their debut in the Seat Leon Euro Cup a number of years ago, as did Norbert Michelitz, one of their drivers then, and now a World Championship driver. So it has produced a whole load of guys who came through Seat Leon Euro Cup into touring cars. You know, guys like Freddie Bart and so on, and they've moved on now to other touring car championships and other forms of racing. But it gave a lot of drivers, in the same way that this does, a very close, intense, race experience. And for a number of teams as well, they then looked with, not envious, but ambitious eyes further up at World Touring Car Championship, thought maybe we could do that. And that's exactly what you need in a support series. Well, there you saw inside the race control building our timing and scoring colleagues from Tag Heuer. Race control up there as well, and the fabulous old buildings here at Monza as the cars line up, hopefully in their grid spots accurately for the start. Mladen Lalizic, car number 17 on pole for race 2 of the 2017 European Touring Car Cup. Andreas Pfister alongside. Then the two lime green and grey Seat Leons of Zoltan Szabo and Norbert Nudge. And our race 1 winner starts in 8th place. Peter Rickley ahead of him. But Peter Foulin, the grey car, 4 rows back on the left, last year's championship runner-up. Away we go, and again, terminally atrocious starts from the Zengo cars. Row 3, Peter Rickley and Igor Stefanovski both went around the Zengo Motorsport cars, and Peter Rickley with his teammate Christian Schreiber coming through as well. They started 6th and 7th. They're going to be 1st and 2nd into the first chicane, into the Primo Variante. Igor Stefanovski rise the curbs on the inside in 3rd. He too is, Andreas Pfister is inside him, and that is our pole man. Mladen Lalizic got away very poorly off the grid and out of the chicane. Still side by side for 3rd. Seat, and now Seat, the 3rd car is Peter Rickley trying to get involved. Rickley, the grey car, goes to the outside. Stefanovski trying to shut that door, and he does so. Andreas Pfister has to cut the chicane. Stefanovski cuts the chicane. Foulin loses ground. But again, atrocious starting from the two Zengo Motorsport Seat Leons. And Zoltan Szabo gone right to the back of the grid. And off is Stefanovski. Had to happen. He was far too reckless into the Rogia. He loses 3-4 places. And it is a Honda 1-2 Matt Neal. Wow, if the Zengo boys can't start, they need to go to Peter Rickley and Christian Schreiber for lessons, because those two Honda drivers certainly can.
Oh, how frustrating is that? I can't believe how wrong those two lime green Zengo Motorsport Seats can get it on the start. So they were going to be my tip for strong podiums in this race, but for the Hondas to come through, I mean, dream start for them. But all to get through that first chicane in one piece as well.
Peter Foulin in third, which is where he was all of race one. So the race order is pretty much the same. Andreas Pfister a little higher up as he battles for fourth place with Norbert Nudge. Norbert Nudge on the outside, sweeps around into the Parabolica ahead of Andreas Pfister. So the German driver down to fifth spot. And Pfister starting in second place. And there is Plamen Kralev, the red and black Audi RS3 in the middle. Little rub with Zoltan Szabo. Szabo trying to come along the inside. The Audi does seem to have a little bit more in a straight line, just a fraction.
Well, that might be just drag factor of the two different models, Mark.
A little bit of a toe off the black and yellow car in front of him, but Szabo had the overlap into the braking area just enough to stay in front of Plamen Kralev. And you're right, the Audi just has that slightly lower, smoother look maybe than the more hatchbacky Seat Leon. But again, when you're half a second, 3/4 of a second behind a car in front of you, you do pick up a tiny bit of a slipstream, and I think that's what saved the green car. So Peter Rickley led Christian Schreiber for 8 of the 9 laps last time round. He leads now. Szabo goes in front of Kralev again and hangs on to that position. The battle for 8th spot behind Fabio Motta, the yellow and black car for Portuguese. And this little battle is dropping these guys towards the tail, but the Audi came through the field quite nicely in the first race, so we'll see if it can manage to leapfrog its way up the order.
The two Swedish Hondas do seem to, I mean, there is a start system they can use in these TCR spec cars, but a lot of the drivers choosing to do a manual and just try and ride the clutch and get it off in one piece, but they do seem to have it pegged in that respect at the minute.
Yeah, really do, don't they? And they found the gaps as well. You know, they really worked the traffic very nicely. Things opened up for them. So Peter Rickley, the veteran, Christian Schreiber, his young teammate, pulling away very fast now in first and second.
Now Stefanowski out of position in his box. Made a great start, but he was out of position, as was the Audi of Kralev, so it's going to be interesting to see if they get pegged.
Dear, oh
as
dear.
the Hondas did in race 1.
Yeah, it took a few laps for that to happen. Honda weren't informed of that until the last lap, or we weren't informed until the last lap. Lots of bumping over the curbs. That was Mladen Lalazic there right at the back. And the Hondas showed great pace in qualifying. They're pulling away well. Now, Foulin and Nudge, third and fourth, need to work together. No point Norbert Nudge attacking now. He and Foulin have to just slipstream each other around and try and find somehow enough pace to catch up with the slipstreaming Hondas in front. Behind Stefanowski and Pfister, and then still the battle, Motta versus Szabo. And Szabo on the outside, hanging on there, waiting for the track to straighten up a little bit. He's still got the inside line for the Rogier, but can he get the car stopped? No, he can't, and Motta has to bail out. And that's a tricky position when you're Motta there on the what's going to become the outside. How long do you wait for the other guy to brake?
Well, I mean, Motta should give that place back, really.
But he hadn't lost it, though, so he was sort of in front, but sort of not. So, again, moot point.
Here and before.
Peter Rickley, Christian Schreiber leading our race here. 4 laps completed. We're on lap 5 of 9 in Monza in the European Touring Car Cup encounter. And they are streaking away from Peter Foulin, Norbert Nudge and Ivan Stefanowski. Here's the battle behind. Andreas Pfister and Fabian Motta both been passed in 1 lap by Plamen Kralev, who goes just a little wide there. Again, hashtag bring back gravel traps is starting to gain momentum. I bet in the Formula 3 field as well. Yesterday in Formula 3 qualifying and the first race for the Formula 3 European Championship, no fewer than 40 penalties handed out for track limits.
Yeah, but in all fairness to some of the stewards who are up in the office, they must be looking at some of the track limits on this one, just holding their head in their hands and thinking.
Be like Yoda, do or do not. Either apply them universally or don't. There is no try. So Plamen Kralev, again, like the first chicane, slightly forgot that the Parabolica was there, I think.
He does give it the wall of death around the edge of the gravel trap, doesn't he?
Somebody inside was going, brake, brake, brake. I am braking. No, really I'm not. Peter Rickley and Christian Schreiber. Schreiber played it canny, didn't he, in the first race? Just sat back, a second away, so the car's not overheating, brakes aren't overheating, engine's not overheating, everything's nice and calm, no dramas. And then on the last lap, he did his teammate like a kipper.
First casualty.
Yeah, Zoltan Szabo. Zoltan Zengo's team, Zengo Motorsport, looking after these two cars and two Honda Civics in the World Touring Car Championship. So that's two out, Mladen Lalozic and Szabo. And there's been a drive-through penalty for abuse of track limits. Who do you think it was? Don't look at the screen, have a wild guess.
Yeah.
Who have we seen heading into Switzerland before returning to the track? No, it's not him. It's Fabio Motta in the black and yellow Seat.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
I think there's a queue of drive-throughs coming then.
Either they can't read big yellow numbers, or...
No, well, Motta did it first, to be fair. He when he outbraked himself into the chicane and took a couple of shortcuts, and then probably several other...
in which case, there may be a few more to come.
I think there's a few more to come.
Oh, dear.
Honda's
well,
still...
hurry up then, because we've only got 4 laps.
As you say, the Honda's flying formation at the front, but Schreiber, he did play a canny gain in the first one, so... And he sort of worked Rickley out.
Has Kralev suddenly fitted a 3-litre engine or something? What's going on with this?
Well...
Kralev is flying by them.
Maybe...
well, you know, OK. I suppose you are faster if you just ignore all the corners. There is that.
Well, there was a rumour that they're going to do away with that chicane at...
Yeah, he's just on the 2018 layouts, just going all the way around Curva Grande the way that Farina and Nuvolari did, yeah.
It's working well, though, isn't it?
It is working well for him. And in fairness, in his defence, if you don't use the chicanes, you are faster.
It is a faster line.
It is a faster line, yeah, that's hard to argue. And he's got away with it. You know, he hasn't had any penalties so far.
So far, so good.
Yeah. He might be starting the next race from on a different day to all
no penalties for Igor Stefanovski yet. The second of these two for out of position on the grid, and he was well forward of his box.
Yeah, don't forget, it took 8 laps for them to spot that last race. So, you know, they're busy in the stewards' room.
Maybe they're too busy watching the Hondas this time round.
Well, maybe somebody's brought them a cup of coffee. You know, gasping up here. Drier than a parrot's perch.
Maybe Addison was off delivering coffees to them.
Oh, that's what it'll be, yeah. The esteemed David Addison, carrier of coffee, but not purveyor of coffee. Yeah. Excellent. Even Stefanovski, well, he's having an ambitious little look again at Norbert Naj, right in the slipstream. You wonder, car 12 and 22 are under investigation. Track limits at the start, Peter Rickley and Peter Foulin.
Well, Rickley had to go wide to avoid the Zenga Motorsport cars, so he had to go off the track, but I would say he wouldn't have got away with it at another track. It was Monza, but I would say it was avoiding an accident.
Norbert Naj, dive bombs, even Igor Stefanovski, and you know, through he goes. The orange tail in front, you can see it was Andreas Pfister.
Well, I think that was Stefanovski actually on the attack of Naj, wasn't it? So
no, they were the other way around, weren't they?
No.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. No, you're right. Absolutely.
I was hoping that Naj was going to, put some pressure on Foulin.
I think he was hoping that he would as well, actually.
Yeah, he was on fire in the first race, coming through from the back, but he just seems to...
Here we go. Schreiber's having a go. You're not looking at it now, but Christian Schreiber has just set the fastest first sector. And how far? Yeah, they're 3.8 seconds ahead of the next car, which is Peter Foulin. So Schreiber now starting to pony up a bit and reel in his teammate Peter Rickley. Rickley, I think this time, Matt, having been done over like a kipper on the final lap last time, will be driving at just 101% all the way through, as close to qualifying pace as he can, to try and shake off his teammate. Because the problem for Rickley, perennially now, you're leading now, but you're doing part of the work for the car behind. You're towing him along.
These two at the front, they're actually trading faster sectors and faster laps.
Yeah.
Rickley put the hammer down last lap, and Schreiber's responded with the fastest front sector of the race, and then Rickley's responded again with the fastest second sector, so they are trading times.
Yes, they are. Rickley is determined to try and hang on to this win. He was second at the line last time, got pushed back to third for being out of grid spot, and our race one winner, Christian Schreiber, got pushed back to second place behind Peter Foulin, who ended up being the off-the-road winner, if you like, the on-paper winner, not the on-track winner. There is Peter Foulin. Billy Nomates in third place, and Norbert Nagy defending again. Igor Stefanovski trying to send it round the outside. Didn't have the overlap. That's a bit like Formula 3 cars. It's synchronous gear changing there as the change point's the same. You heard Nagy actually hanging on to third gear just a little longer than Stefanovski, ignoring that buzzing, flashing light on the dash that says shift now, and just giving it another couple of hundred RPM.
Yeah, well, unlike these are 2-litre turbocharged engines, so they will have a lot of torque, and some will respond differently to others, but you know, some find they can. A lot of his driver preference. Ooh, a few track limits at Lesmo 2 there, but or is that Lesmo 1? One. Yeah. Some drivers prefer to shift a wee bit earlier. Some trying to hang on to the revs at the end.
Peter Rickley, our race leader, walks straight into a 10-second penalty.
Oh.
Track limits at the start. Well, if this battle calms down a little, hopefully we'll get a look at that. As you said, Matt, they started behind a whole bunch of very slow starting cars. Everybody fanned out. So clearly somebody woke up in a very bad mood in the steward's room if they are penalising him for avoiding traffic that was in front of him.
I think that's...
Car 22, 5 seconds added. That's Peter Foulin, track limits at the start. And yet, Plamen Kralev, the man who has visited several different countries during the course of this race, apparently not running into any penalties at all.
Yeah, Schreiber just needs to sit where he is, and he's got the race in the bag, but whether they've told him or not, I think that's pretty rough on Rick, to be fair.
That's pretty shoddy all round,
yeah, pretty crass, because you either do that or you run into the cars and cause an accident. And what do they want to see? Oh.
Fabio Motta retires to the pits.
Or is that the drive-through? I think that's the drive-through, isn't it?
He didn't have a drive-through.
I thought he did. He did for track limits, didn't he? It's all the others we're expecting.
A drive-through for track limits?
Yeah.
Wow. But
yeah, there you go.
Are they all Audi fans then in the steward's room? How have they not spotted Plamen Kralev?
We're going to get an Audi on the podium somehow.
Final lap. So Peter Rickley cannot win this. We're waiting now for Christian Schreiber to be awarded a penalty for something nebulous to take the win away from him.
He's got to keep the pace up, Martin, to try and retain second place. Oh, Fullin's going to get the penalty as well, isn't he?
Fullin's getting a penalty. So Plamen Kralev, no, nothing to see there. Certainly no penalty for that. Christian Schreiber is going to finally get a win. So he won race one on the road, had it taken away because he wasn't in his grid spot. Peter Rickley is going to win race two on the road, had it taken away because he avoided an accident at the start by jinking onto the grass to go round people. Yeah.
Peter Fullin should just about get away with it and stay on the podium because he's 5.3 seconds ahead of Norbert Nagy at the moment. So
and he's on his own, and Nagy is battling in the final corner against Igor Stefanovski. So somebody's won this. It's not the guy in front. Somebody's second, it might be the guy in front. Somebody's third, it might be the guy in third, might not. Somebody's fourth. Well done, everybody. You come to a classic racetrack, you get some good entertaining racing, and then you chuck around penalties like confetti to completely confuse everybody. I noticed that the Italian track announcer has wrapped up because he has no idea who's what or where. Peter Rickley wins on the road by 1.46 seconds, and now the timing screen adjusts itself. Christian Schreiber wins from Peter Foulin, from Peter Rickley, from Norbert Nagy, Igor Stefanovski. Plamen Kralev, with the Klingon cloak of invisibility, apparently still hangs on to 6th position with no penalties. Yes, that Plamen Kralev, the Audi driver
who was taking more shortcuts than...
didn't notice any of the chicanes on the track on any of the laps in the race. That one. Nothing personal against him. Okay, so... yeah, whatever.
And Stefanowski was out of position on...
So where does Rickley go? Here he is.
Well,
he went around the outside to avoid a stalled car. The alternative, of course, was to either stop, wait for all the traffic to clear, release the handbrake and carry on, or hit him. Now, we had a racing battle that took across the white line in race 1 that wasn't penalised.
The top shelf was obviously open at breakfast this morning.
So just to recap, Christian Schreiber, our race winner, as he wasn't in race 1, despite being first to the checkered flag, as he wasn't in race 2, being second to the checkered flag. However, now first after penalties, Peter Rickley in second, his teammate, and Peter Foulin in third. So Rickley Motorsport get several results out of that, and Peter Foulin, last year's championship runner-up, gets some, and there's some points awarded. And I couldn't be more confused, to be honest.
I am completely confused.
I do not hold out much hope for sense being shown during the Formula 3 races that come up later today, or the World Touring Car Adventures either. I may have to go and have a little lie down before they start. And I don't mean little, I mean quite a long lie down. Hey-ho.
Yeah. Well, they were entertaining races.
They were entertaining races, yeah. And look, we didn't get a safety car rant, so, you know, there you go.
And there are Italian fans here without a Ferrari on track, so I take that as a real positive.
Well, there are some Ferrari Academy drivers in the Formula 3 European Series. So there's that. And there's that historic Monza podium.
The Zenga Motorsport Seat Leons, it's a case of what might have been, I think, for the today.
Well, Schreiber and Rickley in the Rickley Motorsport Hondas need to have a word with Plamen Kralev, the Bulgarian, and find out how you get away with those things. And the Zenga Motorsport guys need to have a word with the Rickley Honda guys to find out how you start a car. And Kralev needs to have a look at a track map.
Yeah,
other than that, everything went swimmingly
Schreiber
well.
and Rickley need to have a word with Stefanowski on the cloak of invisibilism on the start line box.
Definitely.
Thing.
Yeah.
What's the inverted commas? Consistency?
I don't know. Christian Schreiber is our points leader from last year's championship runner-up Peter Rickley, and the man who finished 4th in the standings. Last year's championship runner-up Peter Foulin, and the man who finished 4th in the standings Peter Rickley. Northern Nads, last year's championship 3rd place man, also in contention, but those Zengo Motorsport drivers do need to learn how to get the car off the line. Entertaining start to the day then, not least for the stewards here in Monza. And we will be back later on with World Touring Car action. Don't forget, the European Touring Car Cup continues next time out with the World Touring Cars at the Hungaroring. And if you think there's a few places to exceed track limits here, just wait till you get to Hungary. Until then, from Matt Neal and me, Martin Haven, it's goodbye from Monza. Arrivederci.